Greetings, people. Welcome to Daily Discipline, the show that fuels your daily grind and helps you build a life of purpose. I'm your host, CJ Ward, and thank you for joining another episode. Now, the mission of Daily Discipline is to serve as motivation, inspiration, and encouragement for the masses. In today's segment, I have a special guest, Mr. Brian JT Watts. Thank you for joining me today. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, man. Really glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Not a problem at all. But to the folks that may not know who this man is, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about his story. So, Mr. Brian J.T. Watts is a native of New York, South Bronx. I got to do this. South Bronx, South Bronx, just because. But hey, man, shout out to you and everyone of that community. But from South Bronx, you served as a math teacher from sixth grade to the collegiate level, and also an administrator from pre-K to the 12th grade, and a consultant. And he also taught overseas. Now, during his time overseas, for 2 years of experience, he wrote a guide titled "How to Help Your Children Help Themselves." Now, this is for the parents of students in the first to the 12th grade. Currently, Mr. Watts teaches eighth grade math, tutors online, and hosts two shows. One of those shows you can find on his personal Facebook page titled "I Have Something to Say." The title alone definitely makes me a patriot. And his second show, which you can find on his YouTube channel, is Come Together, which I just happen to be a guest of that show, which I appreciate the invitation to join. Had a great conversation, and I
Yeah.
look forward to many other conversations. And even on the light of that, he also continues to provide seminars, conferences, and he welcomes opportunities to speak and host a variety of events. Anyone that's looking for a host, anyone that's looking for a person with substance, and anyone that's looking forward to collaborating with good people, here we have it right here. So appreciate you for joining with me.
Thank
So
you. That's the best introduction I've ever heard for me, too. So I definitely appreciate it. Definitely.
hey, no problem at all. I think that, once you meet someone, you get to, learn a little bit about the experience. And also you just get to vibe with them and feel their energy.
Right.
And, what I received from you, just nothing but positive energy. I believe in what you're doing. So
Yes.
I'd be remiss if I didn't come with an introduction like that.
Well, the feeling is definitely mutual. So definitely want you to know that. Feels the same way. It's good. All good.
Awesome. So, part of daily discipline, like I said, it's just serve as motivation, inspiration, and encouragement for the masses.
Okay.
And uh, from some of your background, I can tell it definitely took resilience. It took courage,
All right.
and I would like to hear about your path
Okay.
and how you were able to stay course.
Well, I have some of it is not just resilience. Some of it is just that I'm crazy. So, there's things that you might just jump into because not that you don't know better, but it's just what you do. I've never been a wild person or anything. I was pretty much what they would call a good boy growing up. I was the one that all the old ladies in church liked, and actually they were the only females that ever told me I was cute or anything when I was little. So I didn't have, that temptation to run behind the girls because they wasn't checking me anyway. So I was like, I'll just keep talking to the old ladies. They like me, and I did what my parents said for the most part, tried to stay on the straight and narrow, not because I was good, but because I was scared of a lot of stuff, and my mom was scared because we lived in a rough area in the South Bronx. So I kind of took on her fears, and
Gotcha.
made me toe that line, and not to say that my brother and sister didn't do it as well, but I was just like content. I wasn't trying to do nothing else. I mean, peer pressure, I didn't even know what that was for real. I would hear people saying, "Hey, you want to do this?" Nope, because I'm gonna get in trouble. Nope, because and that's just how it was. Being low income at that time, we're gonna put it that way, being low income was a barrier. But on top of that, my dad was very, I'm gonna say frugal, even though that's not the word I want to use, but so it makes you feel even poorer than you are. You know,
Gotcha.
he wasn't gonna pay more than $25 for some sneakers for us. And so I was never a kid with stuff. There's stuff that I probably could have had that I didn't ask for because I didn't think I was going to get it. So, I was that type of dude who just was always trying to just be as much as little of a bother as possible, you know. But I was very good at school and I loved learning. My esteem was so low that the better I got at school, the more I thought everybody else was doing just like me. I never thought I was better. I just thought, oh, doesn't anybody do this? And it wasn't true. So it was a long time before I found out, oh, wait, no, people are like, no, you're smart. And I'm like, oh, for real? Okay. I knew I was good, but, I just didn't have the esteem to do anything about it, to push for more, to think that I could have more. And so a lot of my life, there are things that passed by because I didn't grab at it or because I didn't think I was good enough. There's a whole life at college of women that I speak to now that were like, "Man, we thought you were the bomb," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, so I could have talked to you." And they're
Right.
like, "I'm like, man, I didn't know." I wasn't talking to them because I didn't think I was good enough. And so that framed a lot of my life. And that's why I'm actually trying to write a book now about self-esteem, because a lot of people don't realize that self-esteem is one of those things that it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry,
No worries, you good.
who is this thing coming on? What is going on? Oh, what's going on? How are you? I'm sorry. So, like I said, I'm trying to write a book um, about self-esteem because a lot of people don't realize that self-esteem colors your life. It's
Right.
like having on a pair of glasses that's a different color than what everybody else is looking at. And it changes everything. Even situations that are good for you, you think are bad. And I would tell people stories, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean?" From that story, you couldn't tell that those people thought you were the man, or they thought they liked you. I'm like, "Oh shoot, yeah, I guess I missed that," because you're coloring everything in this dark light. And until
Right.
you take those glasses off and see things for what they are, you don't realize it. I'm looking for the type of friends that I think I want, and they're actually there already. But I'm still looking for them. Imagine somebody looking for you and you're there, and they're talking to you. Hey man, what's up, CJ? I'm still looking for CJ. That doesn't make sense. But that's what low self-esteem does. And it doesn't mean that you're not doing things. I was on stage all the time. I was singing, I was acting, all kind of stuff. So people thought, oh, he's great. People have a hard time even understanding now that I had a self-esteem issue because they're like, you did everything. Yeah, but it didn't mean anything to me. As far as I was concerned, I was still nothing. And it's weird because you can do everything you want and never put a value to it and never put a value to yourself. And then you're truly worse than people who can't do what you can do because you don't even appreciate it. You don't think it's anything. It's just what I do, and it's nothing. And you think people get mad at arrogant people. They really get mad at people who act like what they're doing is nothing, especially when it means something to them. I'm here inspiring people and speaking and doing all this stuff, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're something like that. That's nothing. So they're thinking, well, then when is it going to be something? If that was nothing, but
Right.
I don't have it. So that's how I sort of grew up, and I kind of grew into realizing that it's not wrong to know the truth or to speak the truth. So when I was a teacher at this high school, there were parents there who were teachers who kept taking their kids out of other people's math class and putting them in my class. And if you've been a teacher, I don't want more students, but I don't care who. I don't need any more. But
Right.
how are you transferring? Oh, Mr. Watts, I got my girl. I got her in your class now. I'm like, why? Like, what do you mean? You're the best. And I'm like, whatever. And it happened about 3 or 4 times. And then I had to sit down and go, well, why else would they put them in my class?
Right.
Is it okay for me to be the best? Somebody has to be the best. Maybe it's me. I'm not going to act different. I'm not going to be a different person. But if I'm the best, I'm the best. And that's okay. And I started to shed all of those negative images and be like, okay, if they want it like that, then either they think that and they're wrong, or they think that and they're right. But either way, I can still do my thing. But I can appreciate it. I can say thank you, and whatever it is. And it started to be okay for me to do that. And then I started to see things coming my way. Those things were always coming, but I wasn't paying attention. And now it makes it easier for me to get out there and do things because I'm not afraid to do anything. I mean, if I'm going to go speak, I believe I'm going to do well because from what I've been told and the way people act, I'm a good speaker, and that's not wrong for me to say. It's not even arrogant for me to say. It's what people want to know if they're asking me to come somewhere. Are you good at this?
Right.
Yes. Okay, well then come on, and
Right.
so that's where I came from. And I noticed one thing that a lot of things are relative. I noticed that there were people who I thought were arrogant when I had low self-esteem. And now I think they're not doing enough because the thought of them being arrogant was based on where I was. So since
Uh,
I had low self-esteem and they had a little more than me, y'all so arrogant. Why you keep doing this and another? But then as I started to get in the right place, I was like, oh, that dude's not arrogant. He's just confident in his skills. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the Brian that a lot of people don't realize was out there. And so you have the scoop now. That's the new book. Like I said before, I told you off camera, I want to make this a one-man show at some point. I want to finish writing this book, and there's a lot of little stories about my life that show how devastating low self-esteem can be, how it started, and how I just continued in that for so long, and then finally broke out of it. And now, of course, little things plague you here and there, but I'm not letting it get me. I'm trying to do my thing.
that's what's up. Hey, when I tell you, like, while you were speaking, I was just like, dude, man, we literally just grew up in two different regions, but similar experiences. Self-esteem, especially for me growing up, was a thing.
Right,
I didn't recognize my worth.
right,
I didn't know really who I was until I came into myself.
right,
When started shedding those layers of low self-esteem. But to hear, someone else that has traveled that path, it brings me comfort. 'Cause I'm
right,
like, all right, I know I wasn't the only one,
right, right,
So,
right. You don't want to be
but
the only one when it comes to something like that. That's not.
I mean, right? You stick out, and you see like
Yeah.
you just stick out, right? But uh, from that experience, um, how has that helped you connect not only with the students but also the community, the parents, and the stakeholders?
Well, I realized that one of the best things that you can do when you speak is to connect with people, and it has to be real. You can't just put it on, but is to show growth.
Right.
Because a lot of people really think that if you're a speaker, you've been this way. I'm confident, and they're thinking, okay, well, he always been confident. That's why he's up there talking. No.
Right.
I just talked to a lady the other day who she spoke yesterday, in fact, to a group of ladies, and she was talking about um, uh, being in the workplace and how people talk about you. They might talk about your weight or your hair or your this, that, and the other. And she was like, these are not things you want to talk about. And she was talking about how people feel, people that are obese or whatever, how they feel when people are commenting on them. Oh, like you're eating something and they say something to you. And she's very thin now, but she used to be a lot bigger. So when she was speaking, she was telling them, and I know people looking at her like, so what? You're thin. Then she'd let them know that she used to be a lot bigger. Then it's like, okay, now you have my ear. If I'm telling you that I'm up here speaking and I seem so confident and charismatic, but I used to be a guy who had low self-esteem, who could even deliver this speech to you and walk and sit down and say I didn't do anything. You're like, okay, that's me. And so even if it's not them, they can relate now because now you seem like somebody who got over a hump, and everybody wants to know, how do you do that? How can I do that? How can this happen for me? So to me, that's one of the big things. And the other thing for me is humor. Um, and this is going to sound crazy, but it's dead true. I still don't know why people laugh when I speak. I have no idea. Well, I have some idea, but I really don't. I still don't understand. There are people who try to tell jokes who specifically put it on. I've never been one of those people. All I know is I loved comedy all my life, and I always wanted to be funny. I remember as a kid in ninth grade praying for three things, and one of them was to be funny. When it came, because you have low self-esteem and you're a Christian, you're like, well, I'm gonna try this prayer thing, dude. I'm gonna do
Anyway, right.
I prayed for three things. People used to snap on me all the time, and I never had nothing to say. I prayed that I could do that, be fast with it.
Mm-hmm.
Prayed that I could find some way to make these girls start talking to me and liking me.
Absolutely.
And three, I wanted to be fun. And I'm gonna tell you, all of them came, but I wasn't ready. I mean, they came like bam. And I was like, what? And so I started speaking and talking in places and people were just laughing. And I thought it was a problem. I didn't like it at first because I thought they thought I was a joke. And
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to a guy who was a speaker and he said, what's wrong with you? I said, what do you mean? He said, you had the crowd rolling and you seemed upset. And I said, yeah, because I was speaking about something serious and they were laughing. He said, so what? That's a plus. If they're laughing, they're opening up to you. And I was like, for real? He said, yeah, man, you got the gift. You wasn't even telling jokes and they were laughing. It's like, that's what you want to do. So I realized, and I've talked to comedians that I met, and they were like, you have this awesome sense of delivery. You have what we wish we had. And I'm like, okay. So it didn't make me want to be a comedian, but it made me say, okay, let me just be me now. And if I'm speaking and you're laughing, enjoying yourself, I will tell you, I'm usually serious about everything I say. Just because you're laughing doesn't mean I'm joking, but if you're enjoying it, cool, go ahead and enjoy it. And that's what has been a thing for me to be able to be self-deprecating. I'll tell stories about being poor and young and low self-esteem, and they're hilarious to people. And I'm like, that's cool. They're like, I didn't mean to laugh at you. No, go ahead, enjoy yourself. But they get it. And so I just realized that my delivery is my delivery. And I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to tell the story because somebody is going to connect to me. And like I say to a lot of people, that's why I like to have groups of guys when I go out or different people on stage because then there's more people for somebody to connect to. Everybody's not going to connect to Brian Watts. Everybody's not going to connect to CJ Ward, but there's going to be somebody that they say, you know what, that's me right there. I get it. And those are the two things I think that make it easy for me. So and make people understand what I'm talking about. And then I'm open. I'm an open book. I mean, I'm not telling you everything about my business, but I'm telling you
Right.
enough for you to feel like I know that dude now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I can holler at him.
And this is why you talking. You helping me out because there's certain things I'm like, yep. Like I didn't think about it like that, but hey, he's right. So,
People will point into you if you say something. If you never complain or you never say something, you might not learn a lot. That's why when everybody, I know it's a thing, people say, I can't complain. I'm like, you can. I might not know what you want. I don't want you to always complain, but you can say something's wrong, or you can say something, this, that, and other. There are learning lessons there. There are people who are going
right.
to say, hey, well, oh, that's a problem. Let me help you out, or let me tell you what I did. And that's how you learn. So I'm not one to go out and complain about everything. But if I'm down about something, oh, I'll put it out there and somebody will be like, hey, I know what to do about that. And boom, lesson learned, something else to talk about.
And that's one of the things that I've learned actually, just to be honest, as of late. I was speaking to to an individual and they was like, man, you gotta be a squeaky wheel. And then they just put something else in motion. I'm just like, you know what? He's right. Because I'm like, if I'm not being a squeaky wheel, think about how people take for granted the things that just work.
Right.
I mean, it just works in motion, so they get comfortable. All right, we really don't have to pay attention to that because it's working.
Right.
Now, if as soon as something goes wrong with our vehicle,
Right.
or something goes wrong with our home, or
Right.
anything else, all right, it's going to cause our attention. Now we have to bring somebody in.
That's right.
But prior to that, hey, as long as it's working, we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But I think that comes along with confidence, understanding, and growth.
That's right.
So I appreciate your perspective. I really do.
And if it's working, it might not even be working at the optimal level. It could
True.
just be working. And
Right.
you're just going, okay, like I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't dating a lot in college. There was a lot of people who I was like, oh, I would date her. I was dating nobody. But if I had said something, people would be like, oh no, you date these people. What's wrong? What do you think is wrong with you? No, I'm sitting there not doing nothing, not going out, not going to people's houses when they invite us over for dinner and stuff, because I'm thinking, oh man, they don't have enough food for all of us, man. I'll just stay home. And people were making feasts, and I was missing out on everything because low self-esteem. I'm thinking I might not really be wanted there, you know. And so you're right. You can work a life, but this might be just surviving, and I want to live. So I'm like, hey, I'm telling people whatever it is I want to do. I mean, that's how me and you got hooked up. I'm talking to some ladies about what I'm trying to do, and they're like, "You need to speak to CJ." And I'm like, "Well, then let me speak to CJ." So, what y'all waiting for? It's what it is. So you got to put it out there, and anybody who's telling you not to put it out there is trying to stop you from doing what
Right.
you need to do. So definitely get it out there before it's broke. I don't want you to have to fix it because it's broke. I need you to fix it so it can be optimal. I want to be at the highest level. I want to be high octane. I want to be on top of it. If I'm speaking 10 times a year, then I'm going to speak 20 if that's high, if that's high octane. Let's do it. Let's get it rolling to where I have to push you off. I have to say, hey, stop,
Right.
that's too much. That's what I want to be.
But let me tell you, man, I encourage you. I know you talked about having possibly a monologue show.
Right.
Like any way I could be a support of that,
Oh, okay.
I would definitely, want to be, because I think there's a lot of images of, even though I say black male, race is really not a thing, at
Right.
least to me. I feel like, people put certain tags on race to position them where they are in the race.
Okay.
And it's like, nah, it don't need to be like that. Once we have, cultural understanding and everything. But I think that it'd be great for people to see as many images of genuine males coming together and supporting one another rather than the images of us turning each other down.
Exactly.
So I want to say that, in front of all the listeners, anybody that, views this, please let this be encouraging to you. And it's not just for show. This is real right here. Because I learned some stuff tonight and I'm just like, we have so many similarities. Like once we
Oh,
start talking a little bit, further on, you'll see what I mean. But,
okay.
right now I wanted this episode to be all about you and, supporting you and, shining a light
I
on,
appreciate
how inspire, not you inspiring me, but I'm pretty sure, you inspired countless others, especially through education. So
That's a
it's,
joy. That's a joy. And you're a teacher. When you see somebody light up about something that you're teaching, it's great. And there's some of them who, of course, you get to talk about stuff that's not your subject and inspire them even where their need is. And that's a joy. Of course, right now I feel like I'm getting so old that I'm so far away from these kids. They're like, whatever, old man. I'm listening to you. So I need to get back on the road and start speaking because the kids at the school, they're like, that's not motivating at all. Let's do something else. So, I don't think people realize that inspiration goes two ways. You know what I'm saying? If I
right,
inspire you, I get something out of it. Just like if I
right,
cook a dish and I watch you eating it like it's your last meal because you love it that much. Oh, I'm happy. I'm ready to cook for you again because you like it so much. So that's what happens when you're passionate about something and you're in love with it. And I mean, I'm sure you're like that with your art and everything else. That's the joy of being an inspiration. Anybody who's never been an inspiration, you're missing out on something big. And you might not have known you were inspiring somebody, but I'm hoping that people will come back and tell you because when you find out, it's a joy that's unmatched. Definitely.
Absolutely. Hey, I appreciate you. You just don't understand how much. 2019, I literally went east, west, north, south, purposed on trying to connect with, you know, African American males and others, but specifically our community. I was able to meet with a lot of great fellows. But at the same time, I was like, I think I've put the cart before the horse.
Okay.
But at the same time, I just had to have a realization. So, but it's still all good because I have moments like this when I'm able to connect with those that I've been, seeking. So,
Okay.
um, with everything that's been shared, if you'd have a message for like someone listening that may have low self-esteem, or there may be someone, all right, I'm in this position, I know where I want to go. What words of wisdom could you provide for those individuals? And what would you recommend them do?
Wow. Well, there's so many things that I didn't just do certain things. Certain things were done to me that made me have to see, that I didn't need to be the way I was. And that was a blessing for me for those things to happen. I would say hear what everybody says, but listen to the good stuff. And when I say the good stuff, I don't mean the stuff that sounds good to you. I mean the stuff that's actually good. Um, Quick story, I remember being on a bus one day, coming from high school, and I took this other bus that would make me take two buses home when I could have just taken one. But there was this girl that I liked, and I was like, I want to be on a bus with her, and I want to sit her. And she didn't like me at all. But, but I'm trying to be on the bus so I can talk to her. And I don't even end up sitting beside her because she's like not even trying to mess with me at all. But these other girls that I know was on the bus, and they was like, what you doing on here, Brian? And they could tell why I was there. So they were teasing me. And girls used to always be like, "You think you're cute?" And I always used to say no because I was like, "I don't want that smoke. I don't want to hear what people say if I say yes." And I didn't think I was cute, and so I was like, "No." And one of the girls was like, "Well, I think Brian's cute," and I told her to shut up. Can you imagine? I'm the one telling this girl and shut up because I'm like, "You about to start some stuff? I don't want to hear." And she was like, "No," and she went on and broke me down about how she thought I was cute and everything. And that day, I went home and looked in the mirror and was like, I mean, there's nothing wrong. You know what I'm
you know,
saying? I'm looking at stuff like, okay, okay. So, it's one thing you have to do is wake up and realize who you are. And that was my day of awakening when Nina Newsom said, Brian's cute. I think Brian's cute. And I mean, it was Nina, not Tina. They were twins, but it was definitely Nina. But so you gotta wake up and see that you're somebody. You got to look at yourself and see who you are because you can sleep your whole life away not realizing what you have. And I'm not saying that cuteness is going to take you somewhere or anything, but I'm saying whatever it is you have to realize it. You have to take hold of it and start to listen. And people are saying, you're good at this, you're good at this. Then do they have a reason to lie to you? Are they getting something out of it? Are you paying them to say this stuff? No. So then why are they doing it? They might be telling the truth. And more people are saying it. It's a positive thing. Take it and run with it. So you have talents and stuff, you got to go for it and see what happens. And so you have to take a chance, but you cannot let your life be colored by your own inadequacies. That's just something that you can't continue to do. So I would say to everybody, wake up, listen to what's going on, hear everything, take the good stuff, throw the bad away, and that will start you on a path to where you need to be.
Man, very well said. I appreciate that. Great response and a real response. I think a lot of people can connect with that. Um, how can people get in touch with you? For your services. I know you do tutoring, and also your welcoming speaking engagements. So
Right,
how
right.
can people get in touch with you?
Well, for tutoring, the website is Just Let Me Teach. Because when we tutor, we don't have any of all the other crazy stuff. We get to teach. Just do that. So justletmeteach.com. You can get on there and check me out. And thebrianwatts.com is my site with all the speaking engagements, my book, all of that stuff. So if you have graduations, you need a keynote speaker, church events, school events, any of that stuff, motivating youth, education day, whatever it is, men's day, you can call and, or email me on there. You can email me at brian@thebrianwatts.com, and we'll be glad to come out and do our thing. Because I feel like there's so much that has happened in my life that even if I just got a chance to tell stories, it might be enough for people to be like, oh, let me turn my life around, or let me do this. Because the reason things happen to us is for us to wake up and for us to make other people not have to go through it. If I burn my hand and I tell you this stove is hot, I don't want you to go stick your hand in it now. I did it for all of us. So,
I
you
mean,
know,
right.
like, just learn the lesson. My hand is burnt. Okay, chill out. So, I think that I love to get down like where you are in Louisville and stuff. I think I like speaking in the South and other regions more than I like speaking in the Northeast, because there's an extra part when I go down there because of my accent, and people are really paying attention because they're like, listen to this dude, he sounds crazy. So, it's gonna pull them in. Up here in the Northeast, I start speaking that you sound just like the dude next to you, man. Whatever. So it's not the
That
same.
makes sense.
But again, especially in the South, afterwards I get to get some sweet tea. So, all good. So yeah, if you need to get in touch, those are the ways to get in touch with me. And to all your viewers and listeners, listen, just give me a call. If you have something that you're not sure that I would want to do, let's talk about it. I'm open to a lot more than what people might think. So let's discuss it and we'll see what we can do.
Sounds like a plan. Once again, I appreciate you for joining with me. Thank you for many nuggets that you shared tonight. And I encourage you going forward.
We'll do.
So we have to, continue to do this. So this definitely won't be our last conversation.
Right.
But thank you for your time. Tell everyone time is something you can't get back. But when time is shared with those that understand that, it just makes it even better. So appreciate you, and I encourage you. The path is that's ahead of you. So wrapping it up. Once again, thank you all for joining Daily Discipline today, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Even on that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay motivated, and keep building the life you deserve. And as always, I hope this message reaches you well. It helps you along the way. Be encouraged and make this day, evening, or night a great day. Have a good one.